So let's talk about scales and how you can approach them. If you're a beginner, if you're teaching yourself, a lot of times you may have come across scales in terms of maybe you saw a solo, or it's a build up to solos, it's a build up to improvisation and other things, writing your own songs. And so, what are scales exactly? A helpful definition that I've come across is a scale is a pathway, a ladder through an octave. Now, while the definition makes sense, it doesn't help if you don't know what an octave is. It's a kind of interval, which makes it worse when you don't know what an interval is. And for me, when I stumbled upon all these things, I came across different things, not necessarily in the best order. So, what I would attempt to do is give you a helpful structured order that you can follow week by week to build up to scales. Think of it this way. If you look at a story, right? So we're thinking about this with the goal of learning to make music and understanding music, to write your own songs, play your own songs, things like that. If you look at a story is made of many chapters, and a chapter is made of many paragraphs, paragraphs from sentences, sentences from words, and words from letters. And well, lucky for us, music also is made up of 7 letters. And so when you group certain letters together, certain notes um, that these letters represent, when you group them together, they fit into place, they go with each other. However, we can't get to the story using the chapters, paragraphs, sentences, and words if we don't start with the letters. So, why don't we start with the letters? And so, for the first step, what I would highly recommend you begin with is learning the names of the notes on the neck of the guitar. Now, I do understand there are many videos probably talking about this, unlocking the fretboard or mastering the neck of the guitar and things like that. But to what end? So, we're going to have the end in mind as learning how to apply scales and understanding what these things are. And along the way, we'll also uncover many different things. So it's like we're building from the foundation, from one note at a time to everything that you probably already know about music. For me, I learned a lot of the theory and applicable parts much later. So when I came across this, for me, it was simply putting names to things that I knew, but I didn't know how to describe them, and I didn't know how to communicate them to other musicians. So this is something that helped. So let's begin with that. Very simple exercise. You know the the open string names, and if you don't, it's very simple. It's E, A, D, G, B, and E. All right. Eddie ate dynamite. Goodbye, Eddie. Simple enough. So let's start with the E string. When you play the open E string, that's your E note. Now E does not have a sharp and B does not have a sharp. So if I play the first fret on the top string, that's an F. The next note is an F sharp. The next note is a G, that's fret number 3. G sharp, A sharp, B does not have a sharp. So we have C, C sharp, B sharp, and E again. All right. So when you come to fret number 12 and you are at the note this the same as the open string, then you've counted it up correctly. If you haven't, you probably missed a note, which is fine. Just go back and try it again. Now you can do this in the reverse. Now as we go in the reverse, we're not going to call them sharps, we are going to call them flats. So I have E, E flat, D, D flat, C, B, B flat, A flat, G, G flat, F, and E. Now keep in mind the note stays the same, those sharps and flats, but their name changes based on which direction you're moving up or down. That's called an enharmonic, where the same note has two names. So if I'm moving up, it's going to be a sharp and it's going to retain the name of the note before it, like A to A sharp. But if I were going down from B, it would keep B and become a flat. So B flat, B to B flat, A to A sharp, right? Same note, two different names depending on the direction that you're moving. Okay, so that was the E string. Let's do the same thing for the A string. So you have A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, and A. Now let's go back. So you have A flat, G, G flat, F, E, E flat, D, D flat, C, B, B flat, and A. Alright? And you can do the same thing going down each string. So I would first encourage you to hit pause and just try doing the same thing for the remaining 4 strings. If you've gone ahead and done that and you're back after trying it out, here's a little tip. If you know the names by heart for the E and the A strings, you can figure it out for the rest of the strings by just moving up in certain patterns. So if I take any note on the E string, let's take G, and I go 2 strings down and 2 frets forward. That note is also a G. Alright, so 2 strings down, 2 frets forward. So let's verify this. This is the D string. So D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G. Fret number 5 on string 4, the D string. 2 strings down, 2 frets forward. I can do the same thing starting from the A string. So if I take the D note on the A string, that's on fret 5. 2 strings down, 2 frets forward. On the G, that's a D. Let's verify that. G, G sharp, A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D, fret 7 of the G string. Right? So that's pretty much a fixed pattern. Now, if you wanted to go further from the D string and the G string, it's quite simple. You go 2 strings down. So I'm going to pick the G note again on the D string. I'm going to go 2 strings down and 3 frets forward. 1, so 1, 2, 3. Let's verify that. So B, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G. I can do the same thing starting from any note on the G string. So if I take C, 2 strings down, 3 frets forward. So 1, 2, 3. I don't know why I keep missing that one count. So 1, 2, 3. Right? C. Let's verify that again. E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, B, and C. Okay? Alright, so that is step 1. So for week 1, just practice memorizing the names of the notes, at least on the E and the A strings. A good way to do the practice is just pick a note and try to identify it. See how much you can memorize just by going through it a few times. And you can associate the dotted positions with certain notes. So over a period of time, for me it became quite simply, I know that C is the 8th fret, right? B is the 7th fret because C is the 8th fret right here after this dot. Here I have A, here I have G, right? D, E. And so a lot of it comes from just repetition. Another good exercise is pick one note and find it on each string. So if I were to take G again, there's G, there's G, there's G. The string is G, but I'll also play it on fret 12. Here's G, and here's G. So I found the same note on each and every string. And that's one exercise that you can use that's very helpful for getting your bearings and getting you familiar with where notes are. All right. Another thing you can keep in mind is that note positions don't change. So what I mean by that is on any string, if you take the G note as I did, the next note is going to be a G sharp and the next note is going to be an A. That's not going to change. Look at this. G, G sharp, A. G, G sharp, A. So that's another helpful way to memorize the note positions. But there's no getting around it. The first few days, you just have to count out loud, up and down the strings, and commit the notes and position to memory. You can do it. I believe in you. It's going to be quite simple for you. Right? If I can do it, you can do it. Anyone can do it. So start with this, and I'll see you in the next step.